Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, and in this video series we'll be learning about hand tracking, and we'll learn how to do hand tracking using the Python OpenCV module, and we will write a bare minimum script in the beginning to just have it up and running, and once it's done we'll create a module out of it so that we don't have to write the code again and again in the future projects. So what are you waiting for? Let's get started. So before we get started with the hand tracking and lots of cool stuff, you just need to install this IDE, the PyCharm IDE. So quickly go on to jetbrains.com and install the PyCharm IDE in the drop-down menu of the developer tools, and click on download and download the community version, which is really free and open source. And yes, we'll see you inside PyCharm. Once the download is done and installation is done, you can go to the PyCharm IDE and open it. And once you open it, it's almost going to look like this, depending on the version. So once you can click on the new project and create a new project, and I'm here going to name it hand tracking. So it's pretty much going to be that, and we're not going to create a main.py. This is a default main program that's going to create. We're not going to tick that, and remaining things can be kept as default, and then we can create the project. And you can see that the project folder has been created in the desktop, and it's just setting up the virtual environment for us to start coding in Python, and it should just take around half a minute. That's it. Yes, now that your project environment is set up, before we go deep dive into the Python, we would need to actually import some modules. So quickly go on to the PyCharm preferences, and then you can go onto the Python interpreter in the project hand tracking. And here you need to add two modules, one of the module being the OpenCV that we would be using, the OpenCV Python. If you search OpenCV Python, you'll get it, and click on it and click on install package. And once that's done, now you can go ahead and download the media pipe library that we are going to use for hand tracking. It's a Google made library that allows us to have a very good hand tracking using the world-class ML solutions and the applications of cutting-edge technologies of cloud and the web. So yes, so we have everything installed, and we can go ahead. Now I want you to create a new project, a new Python file inside the hand tracking module, and I'm in the folder, and click on Python file and name it hand tracking. Why not? And click enter. I should see a hand tracking.py, and here basically before we get started we would like to see if our camera is working, because that's what we're going to use for hand tracking. So we'll be importing the CV2 library, that is the OpenCV library. So import CV2, and then we were also going to import the media pipe library as MP. So we're going to use MP to call the media pipe, and then let's import time so that we can calculate the FPS. So once that's done, now we can create a camera object. So it's really simple. We're basically starting from scratch, and we can basically create a camera object so that we can video capture from the, so just write cv2 dot video capture, and then here you get to mention your ID of your camera. These basically range from -1 to -1. It can be 3, it can be 0, mostly from between -3 to 3 you should get your webcam running. So it's mostly going to be a 0 or a 1 or a -1 mostly. So you can go ahead and try these three values right here and check if your camera is working. So I know that my camera is at 1, so I don't need to check. But if yours doesn't work at 1, you can freely try 0 and -1. So once that's done, now we are getting the whole camera feed into the cap object. Now we are processing a video, so we're just not processing an image. So we would be running a while loop so that we continuously display the image. So we say while true, and we are going to write the a small program right here so that it keeps on looping. So here we're going to say the image. So we're going to get two parameters out of this object right here, that is cat.read. So out of this object we're going to get two values. One is going to be whether the capture has been successful, so we're going to name that success. And we have another one that it returns, that's the frame, so we're going to capture it into img. And once we get it, we're going to do cv2.imshow. That's going to show the window of the camera. And here we can write the image comma, and then we can here write the I think we have to write the window name, that the name of the window would be hand tracking. I mean, you can pretty much name it anything, and you have to pass the img frames that you're getting, and just write a delay so that you know, wait k, and then just write one here. So that should be pretty much good, and we should be able to have the camera up and running by now. So let's check if the camera is working. So let's just run this program, and you can go and right click on the hand tracking.py and say run hand tracking. So here you should be seeing that the camera is running, and that's really great. uh, yes, so once that's done, now you can go ahead and let's try to see what fps are we getting, so that it's very useful in the when you start tracking your hand. It's really important that you see what fps are you getting. So yes, so let's just create some variables right here real quick. C time is going to be the current time, which is going to be 0. P time is going to be also 0. We'll use these variables inside this. Before you show the image, we're going to calculate the fps. So the fps is going to be the current time right now, is going to be the time. So that's essentially going to give us the current time, and the fps would be equal to 1 divided by the current time minus the previous time, that is a c time minus the p time. So that's the fps, and don't forget to assign the previous time to the current time, so that we always take that time of into the previous time. So now you should be able to do that, but we have the fps calculated, but we need to display it on the screen. So to display it on the screen, we have a simple function called putText, cv2.putText. So here we'll be passing the image in the first place, and then we would be passing the text. So we're gonna convert the whole fps into string, and also we're gonna convert it into int, because here the fps is most probably going to be in a float, and we don't want float values really. So we're going to say fps, and that's going to convert into integer, then it's going to convert that integer into a string. So the next argument would be, if you have any problem, you don't need to remember the arguments, you can always go command and then press on the put text, and you can see what you need to actually pass. And it's asking for origin, so you can actually tell where you want to place it. So I want to place it around 10,70 x comma y coordinates basically. So and then it asks me for the font face. Any font face would do for me. In fact, you can just search for fonts, and whatever pops up you can just take that. So font italic would do for me, and the font scale can be around 3. The color can be something around purple, maybe 255,0.255 is purples BGR. So this right here is a BGR, so not RGB. So that's how it's gonna work. In OpenCV it's always BGR. Thickness can be none, or I'm gonna give it 3 here. And yes, the line type can be none, or it can be anything else. So let's just stop here, and it should be running by now. So if I click play right now, and it's gonna play the hand tracking module, and let's check out the camera. and we don't see nothing here, so I think we need to configure more on the function on the putx. So I think the problem here was that we are actually displaying the putx before we I'm show. So just put this before I'm show, and remove these two arguments that we added, and now it should be up and running. Yes, so you can see that the FPS is pretty much not bad. It's around from 20 to 30. So this is just basically the basic FPS without any processing. Yes, so that's how you would access a camera and calculate the FPS inside OpenCV and put that on the screen. So we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.